What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Micki Morris. I am a wealth energetics coach and healer, which is a fancy way of saying I'm a manifestation coach, and I use energy healing to help my clients get their results. Today we are going to talk about God, but not in the terms of religion. We're just going to be talking about God, source, I am, creator energy, and the correlation between if God has a problem with you loving material things, if God is pro-materialism, is pro-money, is pro you becoming rich or not. I'm going to lead in with my opening stance, my opening statement being God absolutely wants you to be rich. God absolutely wants you to have money. And if you don't like the word rich and it creates resistance in your body, we'll just replace that with well-resourced. I believe God absolutely wants you to have resources, not only for yourself, but to help others. So we're gonna have a little yap sesh today. If anything resonates or turns on a little light bulb or creates a new opening in your body where you're like, oh wow, this feels amazing, and I am going to now take this new perspective with me through my life, and you're just feeling different, you're feeling more aware, you're feeling more open to receiving abundance, definitely drop me a comment on exactly what resonated and leave me a like. I would also love if you subscribed so that we could stay in contact. So I had a really interesting conversation this last weekend with a family member who's I'm really close with. And I was actually in LA to accept an award for my healing container for abundance. It's called Reiki for Riches. And I literally walk my clients through a 5-session, 5-step curriculum, but it's really just 5 healing sessions that I've created to stack upon one another to clear my clients on an energetic level, on 5 different levels, so that abundance can more easily fall into their life. So this looks like an abundance and lineage clearing, a past life money contract clearing, a childhood and subconscious money block clearing, money mindset and scarcity clearing, and then going in and doing what I call a financial frequency flow upgrade, where I go in and I increase my clients' abilities to hold and spend wealth with ease without going into restriction mode. And it's been growing so fast, so quickly, that the platform that I hosted on, because I wanted it to be not only a classroom but a community as well, was recognizing me for being one of the top 5 fastest growing containers in the spirituality niche. And just to give you context, total in like different admins and coaches and community owners, there's about 51,000. So being top 5 was like amazing. So they fly me out to LA. I have this incredible weekend or day on Saturday where I'm just like in the flow. I get to be around people that are honoring me, and I don't have to shrink, and people know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm not having to pretend to be anything that I'm not, and I'm chatting it up with the CEO and one of the investors, and like it just felt incredible. The next day, one of my family members goes to pick me up, and we were gonna go do a little beach day and then maybe do some breakfast and then go to the airport. They were gonna drop me off at the airport. It was actually 2 family members, so they were gonna drop me off at the airport. We get to the beach, and somehow we end up, not somehow, I know exactly what happened. I was in my zone still. I was still super excited about this business trip I had just like gone on. It had gone incredible, so I was still buzzing with energy. So I was just talking. I was just like kind of yapping, completely unaware of the fact that these 2 individuals that I was with aren't operating. I know this consciously, but in the back of my mind, I'm just seeing 2 people that I love and that I love to spend time with, and I'm excited, so I'm sharing all of these things with them, right? Lack of social awareness in that moment was definitely a thing for me, because I was I wasn't remembering in the moment how highly religious these 2 people were, and I was just sharing how abundant I was feeling and just talking business and some of the money that I had made and like how incredible it was to be around these other entrepreneurs. And even sharing like how lonely it had been on this journey, and how nice it was to be around like-minded individuals. But then I said something that triggered the hell out of the two people that I was with, and it ended up being this snowball that was just, it became huge. I said something along the lines of, and now with my business going the way that it is, I'm the highest paid person in our family on both sides, like ever, which is true. Instantly, there was like a shift in the energy, and the conversation gets pulled back into this space of religion and the relationship between having a lot of money or being really wealthy and serving God. So, long story short, I'm going to keep it super short. The main talking points, the main highlights, the overview of this long situation that ends up playing out is these two family members look at me and firstly tell me that they're concerned for my soul. That's new. I was highly devout. I was a highly devout Christian for 25 years before I left about 6 years ago. So that's nothing new when I start talking about my version of spirituality, energy healing, et cetera, it's very common for the family members that are still highly affiliated with religious structuring to be like, oh, that's out of our comfort zone. So they started talking about how they were concerned for my soul. Then, though, this was where, for me, it crossed a boundary and also is the inspiration behind why we're talking about this today. They look at me and tell me that the only reason that I've been able to manifest the amount of money and the income that I've manifested is because I am no longer working with the light, with God, and that I'm working with the adversary, which is Christian's way of saying you're working with Satan. And that the money and the recognition that I'm getting is not from God. It is because I have gained the world and lost my soul, and you can't serve two masters, and it's very clear that money has become your new master, not God. There were a lot more things said with tones around, we're so disappointed in you, you make us so sad, blah, blah, blah. It was a heartbreaking conversation. And of course I set my boundaries, ended up crying 2 hours on the way home, trying to get over it, trying to reflect on everything. But the more I reflected, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need to handle this. End up calling them back after I get home, have another hour-long conversation where I'm setting very stern boundaries of, if you're gonna be in my life, you absolutely are not allowed to talk to me like that. But the interesting thing about this whole thing was it just solidified and really anchored in my belief system that I'm about to share with you, which is God and money are the same thing. And I know this sounds wild. This sounds like a wild ass thing to say, especially if you've been taught like money is the root of all evil, money corrupts, you can't serve God and money. It's harder, or it's easier for an animal or for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into the gates of heaven. Like, there's all of this religious programming around not having a lot of money, taking vows of poverty, giving your last little bit of money to the church, and that being like an honorable thing. If you don't tithe and you're not giving money to God, you basically your finances aren't going to be blessed. Like, there's so much deconstruction that I had to walk through, and I think a lot of people that have left religion can relate to having to walk through around how much money you're allowed to have without feeling guilty about it, without feeling like you have to consistently be giving credit to something outside of yourself, without feeling shame around appreciating money or loving money or having a really positive relationship with money. What I ended up telling them is, money is a tool. I believe money to be a unlimited energetic resource that is available to all that masters that energy. I told them I personally see money as like God's energy and us as a vessel. And I believe that when we get as much money as possible into the hands of good, conscious, generous, kind people, and we allow money to be channeled and funneled through us, it's like when we reach out our hand and we spend, we are the hand of God. That is how I look at it. I don't see them as two separate entities. I see money as currency, as energy, as resource, as provision. And I see God energy as resource, as source, as provision. And so I personally have developed the relationship with money where it feels like a direct one-on-one relationship with God, with source, where because I'm an entrepreneur, because I'm in business for myself, it's just us. It's just God and me, and they can funnel as much money as they possibly want to me without anyone getting in the way, and then inspire me and lead me as to where that money needs to go. If it needs to provide for my own health, my own wellness, my own balance as I do the work that I do, that's where it goes. If it needs to go towards my family, taking care of my family, that's where it needs to go. If it needs to go to my community or to a donation, or even to the other side of the world to help with a humanitarian effort, like that's where it needs to go. And so the interesting thing even about this whole situation is they end up looking at me at the end of the conversation and just straight up, without beating around the bush, tell me that they believe that the way that I operate and the way that I make my money and my money in itself is demonic, which is interesting because they directly have benefited financially from me being well resourced and developing that relationship with money. I've given them a lot over the last year or so, in the first year of their marriage, because that is one of the ways that God has led me to move. So it was a really interesting conversation, but it really just solidified in my mind, first of all, how unfortunate it is that so many religious structures have just 100% convinced, hardwired into their followers, into their members, into the people that subscribe to these structures and these paradigms, that having money is bad, and that unless you are serving one deity and doing it one way, any other type or form of abundance that can come to you is not of God. And I just want to encourage you, if you are on your journey and any of this so far is resonating, where you are starting to be activated by the divine, because I do believe that that the divine, that God, that universe, that source, that these forces of love and light and good are wanting to activate more heart-led souls, more heart-led entrepreneurs, more heart-led people that are willing to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm ready to be a channel for massive, aligned wealth. I believe they're starting to bring these people more online. And I believe that can also come with a lot of resistance if you have been told that you are desired to master the energy of money, or to have a lot of money, or to be in overflow and not just like living within your means or living paycheck to paycheck. Like, to be in overflow and have way more than you need is like evil and selfish. It can be difficult emotionally to feel this pull of, I really am feeling called to master money. I'm really feeling called to step into like my rich girl era, for example. I'm really feeling called to be a vessel, not only for myself because I'm sick of struggling or feeling restraint around my relationship with money, but also so that I can help other people, and to have people actively, especially people that you love or that you grew up with, actively go against you and speak down on you, or just straight up to your face tell you that you're demonic or that you're evil for wanting that. It's really difficult. It's really difficult. There's such a disdain around money and financial wealth or possessions or having nice things or living in luxury. There's such a disdain around that. And people use things like other people in other parts of the world suffering to be a reason why you yourself should not have access to resources and the things that you need. And I also want to be clear that I am actually advocating for you being in overflow, you being in abundance. I'm not just advocating for you having enough to like pay your bills and not complain. I genuinely want you to live in abundance, and I believe that God wants you to live in overflow. I think there are so many instances, even in religious text, where we see things like it talks about your body being a temple, or like the kingdom of heaven being within you, for example. There's so much misinterpretation that goes into verses like that. We're just like, oh yeah, take care of yourself, and then make sure that you're like going to church on Sunday or whatever and keeping the church nice and clean. It's like, no, you should be taking care of your own body, because that is where the energy of God, the spirit of God, this source creation energy lives. The way that I see creation and the way that I see you as a human is I see this big cloud of like God energy, and then I see God literally like breaking pieces of itself off and putting it into individual human bodies. Why do they do this? They do this because they want to experience as many different vantage points, as many different perspectives, as many different human experiences as possible. There's so much growth and expansion and wins and even heartbreak and sadness and depression. There's just like this huge range of emotions that spirits that are just in the spirit world have a more difficult time feeling. It's not as visceral of an experience, which is why there is some jealousy around different entities being in the spirit world and not having like a human body to experience life through. So I believe God wants to experience these peak moments of luxury and abundance and happiness and overflow and joy through you. Like the human emotion of joy and peace and just overflowing with happiness and contentment and just feeling so like almost high on life is an intoxicating feeling that Source loves to partake in. Like they love giving you opportunities for you to be fully in your element, fully in your creative flow, fully in your, you're just activating that divine channel that you are, so that when you have these really peak experiences, it's like God gets to experience that through you. And it is interesting that there is such a push around being as broke as possible and poverty, or like being impoverished or not having enough, almost being glorified in religious communities around like it's like almost like being holier than the people that do have money. And it's just such a misconception. I don't believe personally, from my experiences with God, that God would ever want you to live in a broken state of stress, anxiety, fear, hopelessness, hunger, not having enough to go around. And yes, you can absolutely help your community and help people and help your family with your physical resources. Of course, you can do that. But I think even with your physical resources, like your time and energy, you're still going to get tapped out at a certain point. There's only a certain amount of time and energy that we have as humans per day. When you choose to step into a more aligned relationship with wealth, you expand your reach and your ability to heal and help and serve more people. And it feeds into this more tribal community idea where, let's say, instead of cooking for your mother-in-law who's sick, you're able to go and send a private chef to her house or have DoorDash delivered to her house. And you are simultaneously taking care of your kids. And then you hear that your husband had a bad day at work, so you're sending him a little treat at work. And then you know that your brother is having a hard time with like keeping the lights on, so you send him money for that. And then you see your neighbor and you know that like she's having a hard time keeping up on her yard work, so you're able to book a gardener for her. So it's like you look at all of the people that you just helped, but then you look at the services that you paid for. You're now providing for other people's families as well, and feeding into this ecosystem of everyone being taken care of, as opposed to you just going over to your mother-in-law's house and spending your time and your physical energy serving just her, right? So by raising your hand and saying, no, I actually do want to be well-resourced, I actually do want to be divinely guided with my wealth, I actually do want to be used as the hand of God and be able to see the butterfly effect, the ripple effect rippling out of me choosing where to put my money, and doing so from a place of not expecting anything back. That's the thing too, is when you step into a place where you are in a spirit of generosity, you're doing it genuinely because you want to feed into the universal law of cause and effect, the universal law of compensation, knowing that when you put your energy and your time into the universe is going to always compensate you back. And it doesn't have to come from that person God has different ways that they can bring blessings back into your life. And it makes you feel good to serve others and to take care of the people that you love. And you know that you are making a difference in their lives. I literally just had a dream like 2 nights ago, and I was in this big room. It seemed like an empty warehouse type room, but it was huge. And I'm walking down an aisle of some sort, but like people on both sides. It's like an aisle made of people. And I'm reaching out and I'm touching each person as I go down this aisle of people. And as I touch each person, I see this like golden ripple energy shooting out from each person. But each person that I touch has a different type of ripple that's coming out. Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter, some of them go wider. And I woke up and I'm like reflecting on this, and I'm like, holy shit, I literally was just given a visual of my work inside of Reiki for Riches specifically. It was like very clear that this specific work was the healing financial work that I'm doing, where I'm helping my clients unlock more abundance in their life. And it was like God was giving me this visual of how this ripple effect is happening because I choose to show up in my purpose, and I choose to show up and touch the lives of the people that I have soul contracts with, that clients that feel pulled to be in my space. But essentially, when you are allowing money to flow through you and going to all these different places that you feel led, that's essentially what's happening with your money as well. Your money is touching people. It's allowing other people in your life to be more well-resourced and taken care of. It allows the people that you love or that you care about or that you see in need to have their basic needs met. And when the basic needs of ourselves and the people around us are met, this is when the true ascension process can start to happen. This is when we start to have deeper spiritual experiences. This is when we start to evolve and ascend as a society, when we're able to get more done, when we're able to work together more harmoniously, because we're not worried about basic human necessities like eating and keeping lights on and electricity and clean water and having a roof over our head, right? Which you would think all people have access to if you are coming from a privileged place, and that doesn't seem like a big deal. But the amount of poverty that I've been through in my life, because I had a baby super, super young. I had my first daughter, I got pregnant when I was 17, had her when I was 18. Every single person that I thought was gonna be in my corner turned their back on me, refused to help us financially. My husband didn't come from means. And so Struggleville was like an understatement for like the first, I would say like 10 years of our relationship together. We've been together for about 15 years now, but for the first decade, it was like the most intense, brutal situations that you could think of because of not having resources like we went through. Just ridiculous. And even that reaffirmed my belief that there is absolutely no way in my mind, knowing what I went through, knowing what I watched my family go through, knowing the depths of the dark emotions that I had to navigate through not being well-resourced, there's absolutely no fucking way that that's what God, divine source energy would have wanted for me. The only reason that it becomes a light is because of the work that I do now, and because I was able to master universal law, because I was able to become a master manifestor, because I was able to develop a nervous system safe, healthy relationship with money. And because I went through what I went through, I now have an immense amount of empathy and willingness to allow that money to flow where it needs to go. So was it part of my soul contract to navigate that? Probably. Do I think that that's something that the divine takes pride in, that like they look at people struggling and suffering and starving to death and being like, oh yeah, that's good stuff? No, absolutely not. I think that's a dangerous ideology. And we have to remember that a lot of these religious structurings are businesses. They benefit off of people being in scarcity mode. They benefit off of shame-based and guilt-based teachings that make you feel like you have to give your money to God, that you have to give money to the church so that they can distribute it the way that they want to, because you yourself couldn't possibly be a divine, clear channel for source, God, I am energy to be able to work through, right? Like there's a lot of misconception and confusion. And most of these religious buildings, most of these churches, most of the properties that they own, they don't have to pay taxes on. They don't have to, I mean, there's like tax breaks for this, and the amount of land that even like the Catholic Church owns is wild. It's insane, like billions and billions of dollars worth of property and land. So the way that I see constructed religion is a business. It absolutely benefits a business to make sure that they are making money and profitable. And especially if you are positioning yourself as a nonprofit, it puts people's guards down in a way where they don't even assume that you would be taking advantage of them. But we see it all the time. I mean, once you especially start doing deconstruction work and you look around and you're like, oh my gosh, if the church genuinely cared about its members, no one would be starving. No one would be like going hungry. Everyone in the church would be well resourced. Instead of giving the money away to other people, they would make sure that first the people inside of their congregations were safe and healthy and happy and provided for. But we don't see that happening 99% of the time. So yes, you absolutely need to be well resourced in the current society that we live in. The more well resourced and the wealthier that you choose to become, that is active work. It's not just something where you're like, okay, yeah, I'll be wealthy, and then it just lands in your life. It is a skill that you have to master. This skill of emotional mastery around money, physical mastery around how to manage the money, how to be a good steward of money, energetic mastery around how much you're able to call in, how much you're able to allow to flow back out of you without going into restriction mode. It is a skill. Manifestation, the way that I teach my clients and the way that I work with it in my life, is not just a law of attraction and then we stop there where we're just like, oh, it's gonna come to me. No, it's like and I've talked about this in, the very first video I ever did here, where it's like we're working with the law of vibration, we're working with the law of correspondence, we're working with the law of cause and effect, the law of circulation, we're working with the law of divine aligned action, like actually becoming a match for what you want and then putting aligned energy behind it. We're working with all of these different aspects, and that is a skill that takes practice. Like very consistently, I see when students come into, or clients come into my healing container, for example, we'll talk about Reiki for Riches. When students come in and they start energetically clearing their money blocks, every single student that has gone through all 5 sessions has had a money win. And I know that's a wild ass claim to make, but it's true. Every single client that I've had that has gone through all 5 sessions and had money flow come into their life. The level of the money flow depended on their personal experience, how far they had gotten in life, how much work they had put in prior. A lot of the times what we see is money that was stalled for a really long time that was supposed to belong to my clients anyways, get freed up and be able to flow into my clients' lives. So whether that is a tax refund that got held, salary that got held, payment from a client that got held, filing for a refund or an insurance claim on something that was being held or denied over and over again, and then they do this energetic clearing work and now it clears, right? Or money that they knew was on the way, but it was going to take a much longer time, and then they clear their money blocks and then boom, it's able to come in and literally a 90th of the time, or I guess a 10th of the time that it would have taken to come in, as according to the standard and the timeline that was of their understanding, if that makes sense. So the reason this happens is because typically the energy block is the last thing stopping the money from coming in. But the other thing that I've noticed with clients is people that are brand new to this healing work, brand new to manifestation, brand new to the idea of working with the universe to manifest more money and to develop a really strong relationship with money. Typically the wins are smaller, and then as they continue to go in and use the sessions again and again, be in community with me, consciously work on their ability to manifest. I do have a higher level advanced healing and manifestation container where we go even deeper with energy healing, and I have 9 hours of manifestation master classes that I teach you exactly how to manifest and become a master manifester. But before they're able to journey through this, it's like the wins are smaller, and then as they increase their financial frequency, as they increase their own vibrational frequency that they're emitting as a human, the way that they build their relationship with the divine and learn how to tap back into their intuition, the wins get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The universe loves momentum, the universe loves consistency, and the universe loves commitment. Like, the way that I look at this is, you wouldn't give toddlers the keys to the kingdom, right? Humans are powerful. We're extremely powerful, with the fact that the moment that we have a desire, the way that like Abraham Hicks describes it is, we have these little desire rockets that kind of get launched out into the quantum, into the universe, the minute that we feel like we want something. And it kind of goes into this like energetic vortex. Like, imagine this like spinning vortex that your little desire rocket launches into, and it just kind of stays there until you're a vibrational match. And then when you're a vibrational match for it, it comes back out and it manifests into your 3D reality. The reason it stores it in this energetic container, in this energetic vortex, is, imagine if all humans got whatever they wanted the moment they had even just a smidgen of desire, right? Like, imagine with how fleeting human nature is, with how often we change our minds, with how even we couldn't think that we want something that isn't necessarily the best for us. Imagine the chaos that would ensue if the universe just said yes to every little desire that we had. Think about the decisions that you made in the past, or the desires that you had in the past, where the universe said no, or your highest self said no, or God said no, redirected you into something better. And then from that vantage point of sitting in something better, you're able to look back at the shit that you wanted and be like, thank God I didn't get that, right? So it's the same principle when we talk about manifestation, when we talk about mastering your frequency. That in itself is godly. That in itself, self-mastery, is what I believe Yeshua, Jesus, came here to teach us. All about self-mastery, right? Mastering of the self. Learning how to master your own emotions, your own frequency, your own desires, surrender to the divine, this higher power, and say this or better, right? Like, I'd love this, but if you have something better, great, is divine. It's a spiritual experience in itself, especially because human emotions can get so wrapped up into currency and money that when we're able to master detachment, or master neutrality, or master the energy of money, or the frequency of making a lot of money, like, that is godly. For me, self-development is a non-negotiable, and I have felt like entrepreneurship, my journey to becoming a multi-millionaire, which I'm not there yet, let's be clear, but I'm definitely going to be there, I would say, in the next 2 years max. That in itself has been the most beautiful, expansive journey of my entire life. So it is a skill that you have to master. You're not just going to snap your fingers, do some energy healing, take one manifestation class, and now you're a multimillionaire. It is a skill where the universe wants to see you show up every single day, and it starts smaller, and then they see how you navigate that, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It happens with everything, right? Literally with everything. So, and we even model that in our own society, right? Like, starting with entry-level positions, and then eventually being able to work your way up with more responsibility, higher pay, etc. That's exactly how the universe works. That's exactly how God works. So I do think that there is a lack of good-hearted, soul-led entrepreneurs, people, leaders, business owners, etc. I think there is a large void there that needs to be filled in order for the imbalance that we currently see in the world, where we see a lot of money in the hands of people that don't have the best interest for humanity. We see a lot of money in the hands of people who are actually doing harm with it. There's an imbalance there. And so if you are being activated, if you are being called forward, if you're being pulled online as a good conscious person, and you know that you're a good conscious person, and you're doing the work to lean in and clear out your shadows and drop your trauma, and like really wanting the best for humanity, and you feel the desire to be rich, I believe that's a calling from God on your life. I genuinely do. So all of this to say, like, please be encouraged that if you are feeling the pull to manifest money, and you know By the way, it's not selfish to want it for yourself. So I'm not saying like it has to be fully from a place of self-sacrificial, like, oh, I just want to give all of my money away, because that's also a scarcity mindset in a way as well, being like, oh yeah, other people are more important than me. Like, no, you deserve to be an overflow just for yourself. And even being in that frequency of overflow and holding that vibration and then walking through the world in a place of overflow changes lives with you just showing up in the world like that. How many people do you know in your life that walk around with a spirit of overflow? I can guarantee you probably can maybe count that on one hand, right? Like, most people are walking around angry, depleted, depressed, anxious, worried about money. Like, even eavesdropping on conversations in public, I'm constantly hearing about people living in a scarcity mindset. It's very rare. I don't know if I've ever eavesdropped on a conversation in public where I hear people talking about how abundant their life is, how in overflow they are, how beautiful their weekend was, what a joy it is to live. Like, most people aren't operating like that. Most people are not operating like that. So if you feel the pull even to just live in overflow and abundance for yourself, that in itself, you holding the frequency and then walking through the world as an overflow joyous person, is going to expand the awareness of the people around you of what's possible. Okay, so I want you to understand this is divine work. Do not feel bad about wanting to have a positive relationship with money. Do not feel bad about wanting to be rich. Do not feel bad about wanting to master wealth and becoming a millionaire or a multimillionaire or a billionaire. Like, that is absolutely possible for you if you can see even one other person on the planet. This is my belief. If you can see even one other person on the planet that has done that, you can do it too. It does take mastery. It does take skill. It does take commitment. It does take consistently showing up for yourself and showing the universe like you're fucking serious about this. But if this is a calling, it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away. Like, you're going to consistently feel like this. Like, I couldn't turn off my entrepreneurship even if I wanted to. Like, this shit is so deeply ingrained in who I am and who I came here to be. I couldn't turn it off even if I wanted to. So if you are called to be wealthy, it's not going to go away. You need to lean in and do what you need to do to make sure that you are a clear vessel so that source and God can position you to receive the wealth that you're being called to receive. You are absolutely invited to join me inside of Reiki for Riches. If you feel like money has not been flowing for you as easily as you want it to, and you know that there almost feels like there's like some sort of abundance that's kind of sitting on the outskirts of your energetic field where you're like, I feel like it should be working better for me. I really feel like there should be more money in my life. Or you can actively see spaces in your life where, like I shared before, money should have already been with you and it's not. Likely you have an energetic block. And so I would love to invite you to be in Reiki for Riches with me so that you can go through those healing sessions, pop into the community there. I will support you, but you can also just pop in to share your wins. That's really fun for me to be able to like witness you in that way as well. And then every month in Reiki for Riches, I do monthly oracle card readings. So we do energy predictions. So we can look at cosmic events that are coming up, universal collective numerology around the month, any themes that might be coming up, and then I pull some cards and do a channeled reading for what we can expect as a collective. Excuse me. So yeah, I would love to have you there. Right now it's super affordable. The price is incrementally increasing as the members go up, but right now at the time of filming, it is only $33 a month. So definitely, if you're interested, I will leave the link for that in the description box below, and then you can also find that linked in my bio as well. We'd love to have you. And it's just a way that I can create deeper connections and deeper relationships with you guys. My YouTube is smaller right now at the time of filming. I think I have like 100 subscribers. That will obviously change very quickly, but for example, on Instagram, currently at time of filming, I have over 200,000 followers there. So being in community with me is the way to get some time and attention and intention from me it keeps my energy streamlined so that it's not being pulled all over the place. So that's how you can work with me. That's how you can get some private coaching. And I do also allow my students inside of Reiki for Riches to book custom healing sessions with me and custom oracle card readings as well. So especially if there's something that you're going through in your life that you would love just one-on-one channeled guidance for, you can book that as well once you are a Reiki for Riches student. And I am relaunching my Awakened Abundance Academy, which is that next level, like that higher level advanced healing and manifestation container. And you can also only get access to that if you are a current Reiki for Riches student. So that is the place to start working with me. Again, you can check for the link below in the description box, but I'm going to end this video here. I would love to hear your reflections on how this felt for you, if there were anything that was cleared or activated just by having this conversation, anything that was an aha moment. And then again, if you could leave a like and a subscribe if you found this valuable, especially if you made it to the end, I would love you forever. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I will see you again so soon. Bye-bye for now.